Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. Today we have with us Renee. Rochelle is a health coach and healer and a podcast host of Faith, Fitness, and Joy, or Faith, Fitness, Joy. Trying to throw an "and" in there that didn't belong. So people are looking to find you. Just look up Faith, Fitness, Joy, or check the show notes. Welcome to the show, Rochelle. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So tell us your story. How did you get started in this adventure that you're on?
Yeah. Well, I've been in health and fitness in some shape or form for a very long time. It started at a young age for me so about 30 plus years. But I would say in the last 10 years is when I really kind of started to, on my current, I guess, journey, you could say, and creating what I've come to create through my business and my podcast, which you mentioned is Faith, Fitness, Joy. So it started about 10 years ago. I found myself, unexpectedly in a divorce and raising 3 kids on my own. And I was working full time in a very demanding job at that time. And I found myself struggling with depression and anxiety, insomnia. I was struggling to lose the baby weight from my youngest. I was just in a really bad place. And I wasn't the person or the mom that I wanted to be for my kids. And so I knew I had to do something to fix that. So I kind of started off thinking like weight loss was like the silver bullet. And if I could lose the weight again, then it would all be better. And along the way, I learned the importance of things like mindset, and ultimately led me to my healing journey. A lot of things I just hadn't realized were actually kind of at the root of a lot of my self-sabotaging cycles and things like that were keeping me from getting the progress I wanted to get. So I've taken all that over the past, 10 years or so that I've been doing this, and all the things I've learned. I've done a lot of investment in myself to, for my own well-being, and also to help with what I now help other people with. So I took all of that and I've created like kind of this integrated programs that help with health, wellness. So it's kind of an integrated approach of the mind, body, and soul, if you will, for health.
So important. The mind and the spiritual connection to the body in terms of trying to lose weight. So many people struggle with being heavier than they want to be, or maybe they have body dysmorphia where they think that they should look like they did when they were in their teens or their 20s, which you have kids, your body's never going back. Sorry to break it to you. Just one of those things. But there's such important aspects to the whole weight loss journey.
Yeah, very much. And like I said, I think what I learned along the way, it was when I was younger, because like I said, it all kind of started when I was younger, and I've actually struggled with body dysmorphia most of my life. And I remember I had this number on the scale I thought I should be, and I had this size I thought I should be, and I did all the things to get there, and I finally got there. And the thing was, when I looked in the mirror, nothing had changed. I was still just in that same place. And that's what taught me that none of it's going to matter, the number on the scale, the size, any of it, unless you fix kind of what's at the root of why you're feeling that way and why you're looking in the mirror, not liking what you see. And so I had to learn to love myself along the way as I was working towards my goals. And, when I started again about a decade ago after I had my kids, and it just became very different. And my focus shifted from, having this ideal kind of impossible standard in my brain of what I thought I should look like to my well-being. Basically, it was, I just wanted to get my energy back. I wanted to feel better, and I wanted to just be a better version of myself. And so when I started to focus on that and sort of chase that, everything else shifted and everything else sort of started to fall in place. And the weight started to come off and I started to feel better. And then it didn't matter what the number on the scale was. And I realized that the number on the scale can be not what you might equate to a certain size or look, but you can actually still achieve that physique, regardless of having a higher weight, so to speak, just from, things like having strength training and what you're eating and that kind of stuff. So that was a big shift for me, and realizing that. And that's one of the core things I've built into everything I'm doing now for other women and moms that I'm trying to help with my programs, to help them with realizing that and building that sense in themselves. And you have to love yourself along the way at every step. Otherwise, it's not going to matter if you lose 100 pounds or 20 pounds. If the mental part is still sort of not addressed, it's not going to matter.
And looking at that number on the scale, the call to drink more water these days, water weighs 8 pounds a gallon. And when you're saying drink a gallon of water, where do you think that weight's going?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you're super hydrated, you may weigh more than if you're really dehydrated
Yeah.
on a given day. And it can fluctuate your weight. If you're one of those people that's really glued to that number and you're weighing yourself multiple times a day, and you're resting your whole well-being, how you feel about yourself on a number on the scale, that is like the saddest thing to me. And I know people do it.
Yeah.
There was a time in my
Yeah.
life I did it.
Right.
It's like it
And
doesn't.
it's just one piece. I mean, it's not even, um, you need to look at you need to look at pictures, and you also need to look at other measures like your, body measurements and how your clothes are fitting. Because I lost an initial 55 pounds, and then my weight has kind of stayed the same, but I've still dropped sizes. I still, changed in terms of what I was, wearing and how my body looked, because of the things I was doing. And a lot of it really comes down to how you're nourishing yourself more than anything, because there's there's a lot of programs out there that will, they emphasize things like a deficit, and so then it's kind of like no matter what, as long as you're not eating more calories than you're burning, which is true to an extent, but it does matter what you eat, and it's going to affect how you look. So, and it's also going to, that number on the scale may not change, but you could still be in great health and great shape. So I really, it's hard to see people kind of obsessing about the scale, and it's something I try to encourage people to not rely on so much, and not get on it every week, even, maybe every 2 weeks, check your progress when you're trying to lose weight, but beyond that.
Or never. You can just throw it out, get a tape measure. It'll tell you more accurately. I have a story about a woman that I used to work with. She was kind of fluffy fat. She weighed 145 pounds, and she hired a trainer, and she went on to win some bodybuilding prizes, competitions, and she weighed the same amount. You look at the two pictures of her, and her physique is totally different, but the same number on the scale. Just
Exactly.
goes to emphasize what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So in the video that I watched on your website, I saw a boxing bag. Do
Oh,
you
okay.
do kickboxing? Do you do regular boxing? Why do you have this big pink boxing bag?
It's so funny because when I started gosh, before I went into weightlifting, probably 25 years ago now, you might remember Billy Blanks. I think that was his name, and he had that Taibo workout. It was this big
Oh, yeah,
thing.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so I got started with that, and I just loved those workouts. And ever since, I've just always had some sort of kickboxing workout in my routine. And then, I don't know, years ago, I got a heavy bag as a Christmas gift, and I've just kept it. And so now I like to work out with it. It's fun. To me, it's fun. It's one of the ways I like to work out. And that's one of the things I like to encourage people with is find things you enjoy. Like you'll never catch me on a stationary bike because I absolutely hate that. But if that's like your favorite way to move, then that's what you should incorporate in your routine. So that's what the heavy bag is about.
I love it. I love it. I do jerpies these days, which is kind of like burpees, but they're Jill's version.
Oh,
Because
gotcha.
at 64, I'm not doing a lot of jumping around these days.
Yeah, burpees are no
But
joke.
they're no joke. But this friend of mine, she was like, "Oh, I'm doing 100 burpees a day."
Oh my
She's a
gosh.
lot younger than I am and in a lot better shape. And I thought, well, I could do 8 jerpies, which is a combination of a burpee and a little bit of yoga, done at a
Okay.
much slower pace. But it does have the 8 push-ups in it.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
and I'm happy with it. Makes me happy to do them. And it doesn't
There
take
you
me
go.
forever.
That's what's important.
And I just get a little winded. So, I mean, that's all you really need. If you combine that with something else where, like, we walk an hour a day anyway. So,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, to me, cardio, walking is king. And you can't
yeah,
get better cardio.
yeah. And it's just like, it's fun. And you're exercising your dog who won't drive you crazy later. So, there's that.
Yeah. Nature and yeah, fresh air.
Yeah, all the things. Hope it doesn't rain on you.
Yeah.
So, when you work with people and you primarily work with moms,
Yes.
let's start there
Yeah.
because you are one.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it started with me. And like everything that's led up to me creating my podcast, it started as a blog before that. And then now with my coaching business. But it was all, like I said, I was always kind of chasing this ideal for so long in my life because I had body dysmorphia. And then when I got to the root of that, that led me to realizing like there's so many of these programs out there that are very emphatic on the weight loss piece, the exercise and the nutrition, which is fine, but I find that it's not enough to get you long term, and it's really a lifestyle that you're trying to establish. It's a ongoing way of living and taking care of yourself. And having all gone through all these shifts I've gone through over the years, I've come to see it as more of an investment in your future of your health and your well-being. It's going to keep you mobile longer and stronger longer and independent longer as you age and all these things. So, um, and on top of all the other benefits that are outside of the aesthetics, right? There's so many other benefits to it. So, I kind of saw that as a gap, I guess, in what's out there where, you'll see a lot of things where you can sign up and you can get an exercise program and a diet plan or something like that, but you're not necessarily getting the help with how to shift your mindset and transform your mindset and also that inner work to get at the root causes that created your thought paradigm in the first place, your dominant thought paradigm. So I've done a lot of training around this. I've invested a lot in my own knowledge and understanding about that. So as I've done that, I've incorporated that into what I'm doing so that it's not just the programs I offer are not just about weight loss. It's actually really trying to help you achieve kind of this total transformation of your mind and your body and your soul and really get kind of reconnected to who you are, reconnected to however you conceive of God or the spiritual side of yourself and your physical health. Because the physical is just one part of it. So I really wanted to kind of create something broader that encompasses all of those things and helps women and moms with all those things because I mean that they were all things I was struggling with. I mean, I used to have panic attacks. I wasn't sleeping. I was battling depression, and I've come through all of that and overcome all of that without having to, um, continue with medications or anything like that long term. So, and I know that can be valuable component if that's what you're needing, but for me, I just didn't, it wasn't helping me and it wasn't what I wanted to do long term. And being a single mom, it was like, it's on me to figure this out. I have to find a way. And having discovered that, it's like, I want to help other people do this now too.
Yeah, it's really important. The whole drug aspect is they're great stopgap solutions, but just to help you with the immediacy of the problem. But long term, it's going to cause you more problems than it solves if you're trying to like it, generally it revolves around some trauma that you're experiencing in life. And
Yeah.
divorce is huge. I mean, to go through that, it's I think it's worse. I've been divorced, and I think it's worse than losing a husband because they're still there, but they're not part of your life anymore. Whether you left or they left, the relationship, it's it destroys a lot in your life. It changes so much in your life.
Yeah, totally. And the ongoing impacts of it too with your kids and yeah, that's for sure. And you're right. I mean, it's because there's something underlying that's, deeper than just I mean, that's really kind of the symptom or the whatever is presenting out on the external, trying to signal you that there's something else going on that's not being addressed. And it's interesting too, because I have a background in behavioral health. I actually worked in that at the state level for over 20 years. So I'm familiar with a lot of the aspects of things like substance use disorders and mental health conditions as well. But you often find that it's really hard to what do you call it? Detach underlying trauma, especially in women. I think it was some crazy statistic I remember hearing at a conference years ago. It was something like 80% of women in substance use treatment, and at least in this one location that the study was in, also have some sort of underlying trauma. And so then it's how do you get at that, because that's really what is kind of going to keep repeating in some way until you get to the root of that.
And just taking a drug doesn't help you get to the root of it. I think it was more my
Yeah, it's kind of like a band-aid in my opinion anyway. Because it's the underlying cause is still there. It's helping with the symptoms of the underlying cause, but it's not addressing what's really leading to what you're experiencing.
And this is kind of where men and women are very different. And when we talk about weight loss with men, it's like their whole, well, I just didn't eat lunch and I lost 5 pounds.
So unfair.
or don't eat less and move more. That's another one of my favorites. It's like, it might work for you, honey, but it's not working for me. I can starve myself for 3 days and I will gain weight. So it's like you have to address the mental issues that you're dealing with so that your hormones will straighten out. Because that's really what drives whether you're going to gain weight or lose weight, or you're going to stay one weight or another. And your body will find a point where it's happy. It has a happy spot. And if you feed it nutritional food, not like the junk that's passed off, there's companies out there that sell prepackaged food, which are only lightly food. Yes, they're edible marginally, but they're not really contributing to the overall health of your body. They're just matching some magic number as in terms of calories, which everybody's body is different, and everybody's body at different points in their life will require different kinds of calories and different amounts of calories.
Exactly. And like you said, I mean, I think the biggest thing is what's happening in the mindset, because there's a whole physiological, there's like a series of physiological things that happen based on how you're thinking. And I mean, I've come to realize over the years, having come out of all the things I was struggling with in the past, like how it was that I was working myself literally into panic attacks just from how I was thinking. And because I would sit there and I would get into this negative what if game, or catastrophizing, as I think they call it. And you're going through these little scenarios in your mind, and your brain doesn't know the difference, and so it's signaling your body to go into those, all of that stress hormone, all of the panic types of hormones, the things that are going to keep you alive if you're being, attacked physically in some way. So to your brain, it's the same thing. And we don't really realize that. And then over time, when it's chronic like that and it's an ongoing thing, you get into where I discovered later I was actually in what's called lexithymia, where like you don't even realize, you think you're fine, but you're not, because you're so used to being operating at this crazy high level of stress. And so I spent a good year and a half, 2 years, just kind of like undoing that and working to undo that with it by integrating a number of other things that are helping with stress management and the inner healing work, that I've spent the last couple of years doing with myself, to really like start to reverse that. And that is a huge factor in, I think, what has been a challenge for my own weight loss and other people's, because that physiological thing is still happening in the background. It's like a program running the whole day. And so you're kind of up against that and not even knowing it, because you're not aware of it to even address it. So it's really important.
Do you find that when you do become aware of it, you can feel it when it starts to happen in your body?
Yeah, totally. Definitely. And then now that I have gotten the awareness of it, I can catch it faster and shift myself out of it. And that's the key. It's like once you know it, you, like someone I was talking to the other day said something like, you don't lose awareness. So it's like as you increase your awareness of this and start to understand how it happens and what's at the core of it, you can catch it, and it loses that power over you, and you can start to like disentangle yourself from it over time.
And it's a physical disentanglement. It really does. Your thoughts create chemical reactions, and those chemical reactions drive different hormones, which are just chemicals in your
Right.
body doing specific jobs. And what you're thinking about affects your whole body. We're not really taught to look at our whole being as as a unit. We're like, oh, there's your brain, and your brain thinks these things, and yeah, you got these emotions, and those are like totally whacked. In the old days, they used to just lobotomize women when they were too emotional. It's a
Yeah.
sad thing, but true. Um, and then your body's doing all these things monthly, because we have like 28-day cycles versus a guy cycle, I think it's 12 hours. Which is why jobs were set up for men on a men's cycle,
Mhm.
whereas women, they struggle parts of the month. Are really not good times for them to be out there in the world working. They should be able to rest. And it's all weird in my opinion. But
Yeah, but it's 100% true. And I think a lot of people, don't necessarily realize it. And there hasn't been a whole lot to help explain that until, I don't know, maybe fairly recent years. There's some great books and information and research that's come out in recent years that helps us understand that, how connected it all is. Yeah, your mind. I mean, I always say it's like when it comes to weight loss or overall health, it's like 80% nutrition, 20% exercise, and it's 100% mindset. Your mind
absolutely.
governing everything, and we're kind of taught to not even really think about it.
Yeah, we're taught to not think about our thoughts.
Yeah,
So we just react to them. Every thought that comes into your head is like, oh my God, this could be the end.
yeah,
And we can create our own realities. You can tell yourself a better lie. Source Pierce says, just choose what you're thinking about. Look at the thought that's happening, and it's like, does that really serve me or not?
Right.
And you can make that choice.
Yeah.
Many people don't really understand that it is a choice.
Right. Yeah. We feel like it's not like it's happening to us kind of thing. And so, it is. And that's, I mean, it's awesome news when you think about it, because once you know that, then it's like, okay, you can start to look at how you can shift it, because your state of being is within your control. It's just you got to get the control back by starting to learn how your mind is working either for you or against you, and just get it on your side.
Right. Which sounds easy, but it's
Oh, it's a lot of work.
is not. It's ongoing. So how do you work with people? Do you work in groups, one-on-one, over the internet, in person? How does that
I
look?
do I do both. I not both in person and on the online. I'm mostly online. Well, 100% online in terms of programs and things. So I have I do combinations. So I have different group coaching programs available. People want to, go that route, and then I also have private one-on-one coaching programs as well. So, and I do different. I have the more holistic packages that are geared at like the health and fitness, weight loss, exercise, mindset, and inner healing. And then I also have programs that are just more of my energy healing work. So they're more geared towards helping with mindset shifting and just helping you, grow in your spiritual connection, and tapping into that side of yourself, and helping with clearing energetic blocks and activating, more positive energy in your body.
I mean, it feels so nice.
I like it. It's one of my favorite things to do, the energy work.
Mine too. The first time I ever did Qigong, it was I was blown away by the fact that I could feel the energy. It never had occurred to me before I did it that there's there's energy and you can feel it and you can manipulate it and you can use it to heal yourself. It was kind of one of those mind-blowing moments for me.
Yeah,
So,
same.
um, in fact, I have a story about my dad he's 88 now, but he had a problem with his neck. Like he couldn't turn it. He had to turn his whole body in order to turn his neck. And he'd been to chiropractors and massages and all the things. And he does Tai Chi. And one of the Tai Chi classes that he's part of had a master come to offer to heal a group of people. He lives in a retirement community. So if they get a certain number of people that want this guy to come, he'll come. So my dad's thinking this old Chinese guy is going to heal him. And he shows up for the event, and it's a young Hispanic man who'd studied for years with the masters. And he moves his hands over my dad in some specific ways, never actually touches my dad, and his neck was freed up. He could move it all over the place now.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's one of those things. So if you don't think energy work works, talk to me. I've got
Yeah.
lots of stories about it.
Yeah, it is. I think it's slowly starting to get more recognition. But I know it's one of those things that it's just not talked about, or people kind of think like, oh, that couldn't work kind of thing. So, but it does. It's amazing. There's a number of different modalities out there, but it's all, kind of a similar, it's just moving that energy and helping you get these, because we store it. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza and some of his books and his work. And I think I love how he explains things in a way that make it so understandable. And he talks about how it all ends up kind of in your body somewhere. The, it's going to end up stored in there somewhere. And so it's just a matter of like getting that block out of your body. That's usually
Mhm.
what's at the root of these different physical ailments we have. It's like your body's way of trying to tell you something's like needs to be released or addressed.
I love his work mainly because he's really scientific about it. He measures stuff and he has data. So it's not like he's just saying anecdotally, these are the results people get. It's like, we took this number of people and we measured all of these markers, and then we ran them through the process, and then we measured all the markers again, and this is the change. So when I'm telling you X, Y, and Z, it's because change. It's like you don't have to just believe him. He shows you.
Yeah.
His own story is pretty phenomenal. It's like,
yeah, it's amazing.
So amazing. And he's helped so many people. It's just like incredible. So I know that you offer a training program for people to get to know you and how you work with them. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things I offer for that very reason is a free 30-day training program. So it's kind of a designed to help kind of kickstart your weight loss efforts, but it's also a great way to kind of get a sense of working with me, or even just, getting started and helping you. In my experience, you need to get at least a good 30 days to really start to see some change, and also to kind of establish or break habits. That's kind of the magic window of time. So that's what it's designed for. And so in that program, you get access to a trainer app, and then there's a choice between home workouts or gym workouts, depending on your preference, and then a nutrition plan and Facebook community. So, and then you'll have access to me in the app as well. So if there's any questions or anything like that, I can help you with navigating that. So it's a really great value. It's worth over $1,000, but it's, for free. Just another way to help kind of people kickstart their weight loss efforts. So that's what I like to offer folks. Just something I have kind of as an ongoing offer. So if you find me on social media, I have the link to that in my bios on all of my socials.
And we'll put the links in the show notes below.
Awesome.
So what's the one thing that you'd like the audience to take away from this conversation? I know we've talked about a lot.
I think that, the biggest thing is, like, the theme of the conversation is the mindset. Like, you have the power to achieve the changes you want in your life and your well-being, all in your mind. And so if, nothing else, remember that and start to look at your current mindset and see where you can start to make some shifts. You'll be amazed what happens when you start paying attention to it.
Yeah, it's the paying attention part that where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me today, Rochelle. Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.